to the Springfield Training Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Harding. Our aim with this podcast is to bring you interviews and insights into work-based learning, skills that you can gain from completing an apprenticeship or just your general job, what apprenticeships are and how they can be good for the individual and the business, and we're also going to talk about career development. Today's guest is Lindsay, who is the founder of Apprenticeships for England. How are you today?
I'm fine. I'm looking forward to a nice sunny weekend to get out in the garden and get some sun.
Have you seen the weather on Sunday?
It's going to be 30 or something, isn't it?
Something ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah, we'll all be sunburned.
Can you start by telling us what it is that you do at Apprenticeships for England?
I am Apprenticeships for England. There is one person for Apprenticeships for England, so I do everything from the mail coming in, answering the emails, the phone calls, putting on events. It's a one-person band, even though some people do have the impression that I've been around a long time, that it's a big organisation, but it's not. It's just me.
Yeah. And how long has it been around for?
We're in our 11th year now.
11 years.
Yep. So I started off by I come into training, apprenticeship training, 11 years ago as a business development officer.
Yeah.
And I come from an economic development background, so my background has always been working with small businesses.
Right.
And I think that is something that at that time that was really missing in our sector, and in some ways it still is. It's understanding how small businesses work.
Yeah.
Their needs and wants. You know, when apprenticeship numbers are dealt, we are trying to make them with small businesses. They're not all big corporations with HR departments, learning development departments. We're talking about a business with 2 or 3 people in them. And it's understanding how they operate, and that is the game changer for apprenticeships for the future.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's sort of my background. So, like I said, I do what I wanted to have a platform. So I started the Apprenticeships for England group on LinkedIn, which is now the biggest apprenticeship group in the world, believe it or not just in the UK.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
So it's, so anybody in apprenticeship is there, and it gives them a platform to showcase themselves, promote what they're doing, their articles, their posts, and it's open to everybody, and that's what I want to start to do. Basically, I started Apprenticeships for England from my business development today because I wanted to make contact and get business come to me saying we need an apprentice.
Yeah.
And it started off not just for training providers, talking to training providers. It was also that businesses could join, and a lot of our members are actually businesses.
Yeah.
So that is very important that even then I knew that we had to start including businesses in Warwick, but you just can't expect people to phone up and say, I want an apprentice. You've got to be there promoting yourself, and I was promoting myself as a business development person.
Yeah.
And that's really how the group started off.
So speaking about the group, do you think that lockdown has had a major impact on sort of apprenticeship starts?
Absolutely. If you go up to 2019-20, we had a shortfall of over 300,000 apprentices on the previous year's numbers.
Yeah. And
the first quarter, it declined by another 30%.
Yeah.
So obviously with businesses closing, we've had a decline of 57% because businesses were closed. You take your carpenters, your plasterers, they couldn't get into houses. You take your hairdressers, retails, they weren't open. If they were on a skeleton crew.
Yeah.
So obviously the last thing they were thinking about was taking on an apprentice. They were fighting for survival, a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
So it's had a major impact. But what has happened is there's been a growth in higher apprenticeships because office staff and the rest of it is something they could do online. It was easier for them to do.
Yeah.
So there's definitely during the COVID been an increase, I think personally, to higher apprenticeships.
Yeah.
In this time.
Yeah, definitely. You forget how many apprenticeships there are out there sometimes, don't you?
There's too many. And you look at the starts on them. My favourite one's the puppeteer. How many people are going to be doing puppeteering? how many apprentices, you know, they are getting better, the Institute, for actually getting EPAs onto apprenticeship standards.
Yeah.
There's a lot, but where we need like a business admin level 2, that's gone. But that was always a popular one. That's where we need a starting entry for lots of young people, or people starting a new career or going back to work after having families. We need that type of apprenticeship. Not everybody can go in and do a degree apprenticeship.
Yeah.
So we really need to, there are too many apprenticeship standards, and what always makes laugh, these apprenticeship standards are approved, they have their list of trailblazer groups, and then you go and look and there's only 6 apprentices in the country doing it.
Yeah.
And you've got a whole trailblazers group of business after business after business, and you think, are they just paying lip service, or should they, as trailblazer groups, actually be committed to taking on apprentices on that standard as soon as it's approved?
Yeah.
That's my own personal opinion. I think we could whittle down a lot of the apprenticeship standards. I think sometimes there are too many, and you see that when you look at apprenticeship training providers. 1 month they're doing one standard, 3 months later they've dropped that standard.
Yeah.
So we need some core apprenticeship standards, and then specialist standards that certain, you know, training providers do.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Instead of trying to be all things to all men, because if you are a medium-sized training provider, where is the expertise coming from?
Yeah.
And I think that is lacking, and I think that relates to businesses when you talk to businesses, because they do, some of the standards that a training provider can do are so diverse.
Yeah.
So they phone up a company, the business development person, but they could be dealing with, say, 16 different sectors, or 15 different sectors.
Yeah.
They haven't got the expert knowledge when they're phoning somebody up to say, this is what it will do for your sector, your business, because you work in this sector, that sector. You need that expertise. So when you find training providers maybe just cater on hospitality,
yeah,
they've got it phone up because they know that sector inside out.
Yeah.
And that is what we need if we want businesses to come forward to take on apprentices going forward as we come out of the pandemic.
Yeah. Did you do an apprenticeship yourself, or did you take another route into where you
I
are
am
today?
so old, John. When I left school at 15. 15
Right.
and 2 months I left school, and I ran from school. So I left school with no qualifications whatsoever. And I didn't go back into education till I was 42.
Wow.
When I was having 5 children. So I went and did an HND, and my results were good, and then I did a final year of a 3-year degree. So I got an HND and a degree in 3 years.
Wow.
So I started my education. I actually how I started, so I went to sign my daughter up at the college, Highbury College.
Yeah.
And I saw this HND and I thought, I can do that. And this was on a Friday, and I started on the Monday.
Wow.
And a lot of the kids in the classroom were actually from my daughter's school. So it's quite amusing. But no, so I started work late because I had 5 children. So I got married to have 5 children, and you didn't have childcare. And really and truly, when I was young, apprenticeships were like for hairdressers.
Yeah.
I can't really remember ever knowing about apprenticeships when I was young. And it's still the same today. So many people don't know about apprenticeships.
Yeah.
You know, our careers advisory service needs a lot to be desired, because you get somebody go and talk to a classroom of kids. It might be a local business, but they know their business. But you've disengaged with a lot of the kids already, because they might want to be a puppeteer, a watchmaker, a mechanic, a hairdresser. So unless that person that's going to come and give them their careers advisory talk, they need to have that knowledge. And also, we celebrate apprenticeships 1 week a year. You get the ad on the TV when Coronation Street's on.
Yeah.
But the kids aren't watching it then, I know, you know.
Yeah.
The kids aren't being taught at school. I've got 16 grandkids.
Wow.
Yeah. I told you I'm really old.
That's a few.
But none of them have ever had anything taught to them about apprenticeships
Yeah.
at school. And they go to good schools, I mean, and it's not there in the open thing. So we need to be shouting to people, and we need to make it easier for people to find it, because you went back to the number of standards they are. You go on there and you live in where I live in Portsmouth and you want to do an apprenticeship, but the training provider, the only one that does it, might be based in Halifax, up north.
Yeah.
And, you can't do it because you could have the other job, and how often they're going to come and visit that apprentice.
Yeah.
So it's very hard, and that's why there is not national coverage. Yesterday I had somebody contact me on LinkedIn and say their son, and they work in education, is going to do an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
But the nearest training provider that does it is based 200 miles away.
It's crazy.
So something has to be done to make it easier for people looking. The websites aren't the friendliest ones to use. We work in the sector. We know how to, we know what information we're looking for.
Yeah.
Parents don't. Kids don't.
No.
And they're not taught how to look for an apprenticeship or whatever. And the opportunities you go on there, it's like, I did some research, it was last year before the pandemic, and I was putting in some of the standards looking for a job, just like I was a person looking for an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And I was going through one standard after it. There were no opportunity because there were no employers out there offering that apprenticeship.
Yeah.
I only got to do that once or twice. And you think, well, the apprenticeship route sucks.
Yeah.
There aren't any apprenticeships out there. So even though we got the standards, we haven't got the employers.
Yeah.
So that really needs what we need to address. That if somebody goes on finding an apprenticeship, that is actually, or there should be notification, this apprenticeship is not available. We haven't got an employer offering this job, and it should be updated to show what apprenticeships are waiting, because you've got 500 odd standards now.
Yeah.
So it's very hard, and kids get, they want instant results. They don't want to have to be going through standard after standard or looking for a job.
Yeah.
Or, and I did it, like I said, I did it last year, and there was only 2 apprenticeships on offer within a radius of 50 miles of where I live.
Yeah.
So, what would you do if you were looking for a job? You think, well, I'll just go, that's not for me.
Yeah.
No apprenticeships available, so definitely needs to be readdressed.
Yeah, definitely. It wasn't that difficult for me, because I was looking for a marketing apprenticeship. It didn't take me that long to find one. But I know what you're saying, it's like certain sectors, isn't it?
It is certain sectors. And also, we can tell, the numbers themselves speak themselves. Look at before the pandemic was there. The number of young people starting apprenticeships, the numbers have been in decline.
Yeah.
So, for me, and I've always felt this way, and I've got nothing against a degree, apprenticeships, etc., etc. But if you're already employed by a company, to suddenly become an apprentice is quite degrading.
Yeah.
For lots of people, I've always thought it can be an apprenticeship, but it should be called something else.
Yeah.
Because firms are using their levy funding to upskill their staff. When I worked for the council, and this was like 15 years ago, you had the opportunity to do a degree.
Yeah.
But you weren't an apprentice, and it's basically the same thing we're doing now with the levy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we need to change it around so people don't think there's only degree apprenticeships out there, because like when it was International Women's Day, the last time we had one, I went to London. I was invited by the minister, who was Anne Milton at the time.
Yeah.
And the only apprentices they actually shown were kids that could have always chosen to go to university. They were all level 6, level 7. You didn't have your care worker.
Yeah.
You'd have your lady that may be 40 or 50 standing up and speak. It was always about the degree apprenticeship. So that can be off-putting. We need to look at what is it we're doing. Are we just trying to make companies use the money we're taking for levy money,
Yeah.
for apprenticeships, or are actually trying to get young people to have an alternative to college and university, to, as we always promote it in National Apprenticeship Week, an alternative way without the debt?
Yeah.
And that's what we need to work on.
Yeah, exactly. So no, go on.
No, so we've got loads of challenges for coming out of lockdown now. the pandemic's harmed many businesses significantly. Everybody will know somebody that's been laid off. Our own sector in education, how many of the big training providers are laid off staff?
Yeah.
Lots of them put them on furlough for a period of time, but now they're being laid off.
Mm-hmm.
And it's continuing. We've lost so many people in our sector, and it's the same for businesses. Financially, the ROTAP refresh, just before lockdown we had ROTAP, now we're having another ROTAP refresh. Companies have been trading in very difficult circumstances, and now they've got to prove that they can go forward and be a successful training provider again.
Yeah.
Training providers have been worried about their apprentices. Where are they? How can they get in contact with them? Are they on furlough? Have they been laid off? Can they get them back? The firms they were working for aren't taking anybody on. They've downsized. The first people to go are the apprentices.
Yeah.
In lots of cases. It hasn't been the same across the board. Different apprentices have had different experiences, and some industries have struggled more than others. Retail, hair and beauty, travelling, tourism, and hospitality and catering.
Yeah.
It goes without saying, they have been hit hard.
Yeah, they are.
I went for my first meal in a pub the other day. It was torturous. Go to your table, sit there, order your food on the app, do not move, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And you've only got to walk along the high street, and you see the businesses that are closed, that haven't reopened, and this is when they can open up now. And on the job training, which is part of the apprenticeship model, that has been a nightmare.
Yeah.
For a lot of the apprentices that have been on furlough, if everybody is honest, it's been a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
And some of our sectors still facing uncertain future. Tourism and leisure, maybe if everybody goes on their stay vacations, it's going to be great, but we don't know. Will you have to stay at home? We're not sure what's going to happen in the next few days. Are we going to come out of lockdown? It's really hard to find. Some apprenticeships have not dried up, and some training providers have had great success during the lockdown. But that's due to their own initiatives and how they've promoted them. Other training providers, you think they've closed up shop during the pandemic. Apprentices, nurses, care assistants, they've been in great demand, obviously, for many reasons which don't need to be gone into. But they've been stressed out working long hours and working at 150 capacity during all this. They haven't had a chance to do off-the-job training. Now, I know we've got the concessions that have been allowed, but they've had the accelerated workplace experience, but they haven't had the off-the-job training. And that is being addressed, but that's only for certain sectors.
Yeah.
And I know that, and training providers have got to understand their local job market.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to understand, different areas have different needs. Once, if you live in a seaside town, it might be hospitality, catering as they're opening up. You might be able to get apprentices in there, get apprentices back, transfer them. It's finding, because, young apprentices, they change their phones, they change their email addresses so quickly.
Yeah.
And you've only got to have a gap of 2 or 3 months and they're gone. A lot of these people will be gone. So you can't, ambitious education training programs led are doing well.
Yeah.
But you can't rely on how we trained in the past.
No.
Apprentices haven't been given the opportunity to gain their wider knowledge. If you've been on furlough and you're on apprenticeship, it's very hard. And they've been on an apprentice wage, lockdown. But our main problem is career guidance, because the kids have been going to school. Even that was online, and that was a nightmare for many families.
Yeah.
Because kids have their phones, but not all of them have laptops. Or you've got, they might have brothers and sisters doing their schoolwork. Because I know that one of my daughters had 4 children all doing their schoolwork. They've always had laptops and that, but they were overused. So we were buying in laptops for them to do their schoolwork. It was all at the same time.
Yeah.
Every day. Providers now need to really go beyond just getting apprentices through their training program. They need to work with employers and their own apprentices to make sure they truly do gain the right knowledge, skills and behaviours to actually be able to go forward in their careers and thrive in a professional environment, because working from home is not working in the workplace as we know it.
Yeah.
You know, people who've got their families, kids, dogs, people knocking on the doors, etc., etc. And we've lost the art of actually working in an office.
Yeah.
Working in the workplace. You know, plumbers, plasterers now, say you were doing an apprenticeship in that, they're booked up till September, October, because I know, because I've had lots of plasterers and that, they can't get the materials they need because they're sold out in the stores.
Yeah.
So, and they are just gaining to make up for the money they lost during lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very hard for apprentices to be doing their training, if you like. They're doing their job.
Yeah.
So that needs to be addressed. You know, the ESFA or the government have put on their incentives.
Yeah.
They allocated 100,000 incentive places, but so far only 25% have been taken up.
Yeah.
So employers aren't going for the incentives either.
No.
So that shows there is a downturn, even with incentives.
Yeah.
For employers to take on apprentices. So we really have got to have a period of less consultations for training providers, less bad news.
Yeah.
And we need to concentrate on the positives of what we're doing as a sector.
Yeah.
And so many people are doing a fantastic job. They've been working night and day to do it. But there's so much negativity. And, you know, training providers aren't prepared for another RoTAP refresh. They're just trying to get their business started up again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've got a real period in the next few months
Yeah.
of engaging with employers, finding what employers are open, actually promoting the incentives to them,
Yeah.
and what a difference it will make to that business. But this is when we should be having adverts about apprenticeships on the TV.
Yeah.
How to grow your business. Use the apprenticeships. There is funding available for you. Lots of local authorities have got additional incentives as well.
Yeah.
We need to be promoting that, but we're not. So if you are a small business, the national, you know, the large corporate employers, they will all know about every incentive going. But if you are a small business struggling, the thought of taking on an apprentice and paying a wage to a new start at the moment won't seem attractive.
No.
Business development executives or people haven't been able to get out to businesses.
Yeah.
So we need to readdress, how do we let our local employees know about the incentives out there? And we've only got till September.
Yeah.
And then it's gone.
Has it been extended a couple of times?
It has. It's till
Yeah.
September. I don't think it's only been increased beyond September at the moment, has it?
No, I don't think so.
No, it was only till April, a very short period of time, and then they've extended it to September. I think he did it in the last budget.
Yeah.
In March. But September's not long, and the kids will be leaving school again soon.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, so there's a lot of work to be done, and training providers need to do everything in their remit to stand out from other training providers. I run the apprenticeships directories and EPO directories, and I look at training providers' websites all the time. Their last blog was 2 years ago. They haven't tweeted in a year. So if I was a person looking for a training provider and I looked, you know, you've got 15 seconds, you worked in marketing, that's how you started off, you know that. To get somebody's attention, you've got to hit them in the face within seconds.
Yeah.
And the websites do not sell their business. It's their business card. It's their opening to their future clients.
Yeah.
So everything should be up to date. Any good news story, if you've got an apprentice that have done their EPA, promote it.
Yeah.
Shout it from the rooftops. Let people know that you are a good training provider and that you stand out from the rest.
Yeah.
And that is so important now, because people that don't take the time to look at their websites. You know, I found a website a few months ago that had been approved in the last RoTAP refresh.
Yeah.
They were showing the apprentice wage from 10 odd years ago.
Wow.
And it was the SFA on there, not the SFA.
Yeah.
SFA and the apprentice wage. Now, if I was looking for an apprenticeship and I was looking at that training bar, I thought, oh my God, the wage is only £2 an hour.
Yeah.
So it's little things that it doesn't take a bit of time. People are working from home. I would urge everybody, take a look at your website, see what you're actually offering. Look at the website, your website, as if you were a customer. Get your family, friends to look at your websites.
Yeah.
Do they find it easy to navigate? Do you have to go through so many loops to find the information you want? Does it look attractive? Not all swinging and dancing. You know, I went to a website the other day and it had swirling wheels. So you had to click on the swirling wheel. It was mind-blowing. I hated it. And it was zooming across from page to page. But you got distracted from finding the information you wanted.
Yeah.
So I would urge, and it doesn't take a lot to make sure you've got a good news article at least once a month, minimum.
Yeah.
The standards that you deliver are on your website.
Yeah.
Are up to date. Get the news from the apprentices. People love to hear stories about what apprentices have achieved.
Yeah.
Going forward. And let's hope for a period of calm and no more consultations, or, you know, we've got the refresh going through. But, you know, no more, let's be positive and have a period of stability while people get back on their feet again.
Yeah.
So training providers know how they can plan ahead. Training providers have to plan ahead for a good year, 18 months in advance.
Yeah.
But with changes happening all the time, it's really hard for them to do. So we do need a period of stability while we build apprenticeships up, and we need to decide who are apprenticeships for.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, the majority are, percentage-wise, are for over 25s.
Yeah.
We're not hitting that market of young people coming out of school and college.
No.
So, but you know, apprenticeships are great, and training providers work so hard.
Yeah.
And they don't get the recognition.
No.
Especially independent training providers, they do not get the recognition, or there's as other educational establishments. And I really think, and we also need, you know, stability in our ministers, because we seem to chop and change our apprenticeship ministers so often.
Yeah.
They get into post and then there's a reshuffle and they're gone.
Yeah.
So, and I think if we can do that and have a period of stability, get our apprenticeship standards more focused, the right apprenticeship standards being put forward,
Yeah.
we will build up apprenticeship numbers again.
We will, yeah.
I hope that didn't sound too gloomy.
No, it's interesting to hear what you actually think.
Yeah, and I'm a great supporter of apprenticeship going, but I just can see the downfalls of the system that we're working in, and it's why so many training providers, apprenticeships are only one small part of their offering.
Yeah.
They have to do other things, commercial training,
Mhm.
to actually make it work.
Yeah.
Where if otherwise, you know, they can look at it and say apprenticeships went,
Yeah.
we can still survive as a company. So they do the apprenticeship training because obviously there is the funding there and it's a great offer to have. But all the time the numbers are declining.
Yeah.
They will focus more on their commercial offering.
Yeah.
And we need to shout them out so young people know about apprenticeships. They need to know about the opportunities out there so they've got that choice to make.
Yeah.
And we're not giving them that choice at the moment.
No, I agree.
So I think that's me done.
I was just gonna ask you, what do you love about your job? Because you're very passionate about it, I can tell.
I made a choice. I used, like I said, business development, and I used to do the commute from Portsmouth to London.
Yeah.
I did it for 6 years, and then I thought, and I actually didn't like the people I was working for.
Yeah.
They were actually, it was more about the money, and they didn't care about who they were working with. And it was the time of the 6 weeks apprenticeships going through.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it, and I thought, we are cheating our young people.
Mhm.
Because then it was, you couldn't do an apprenticeship if you had a degree.
Yeah.
it was majority for young people. And I just thought we're cheating them, and I wanted to have a platform where people could promote their services, and it didn't have to cost them anything. It didn't have to be that you were paying a subscription fee every year to do it. I wanted a platform, and LinkedIn was the preferred platform for me, rather than Twitter or Facebook. I don't think Facebook is the place.
No.
I can understand training providers to get young people, even though my grandsons tell me, and as one of them said, I said, why aren't you on Facebook? You're on Facebook, but you don't use it? And he said, Nan, I've got 4 grandparents, 17 aunts and uncles on there. Why would I be on Facebook? You know, so we've got to talk in the medium that young people use. We've got to talk to employers in a language that they understand. And that's relevant to their sector. Because if you get somebody, and I get them phone me up, and I thought, I'm not using do you know who I am, but I get people phone me up and they go, have you thought about taking on an apprentice? And I think, what homework have you done before you made that phone call? And they're just using the it's like using yellow pages. And no, they know nothing about the people that the company they're phoning up. And we've got to get our act together, but we've also got to understand the economic environment that we're all in at the moment. And we've got to make sure that if there is an incentive out there, that we're letting employees know, get rid of the bureaucracy that's out there as well. Make it easy for people to do an apprenticeship. Transfer, if you're a small business, if you said transfer of levy funding will help you take on an apprentice, you just run a mile. So we need to make things simpler and talk in a language that small businesses understand. And I think that's very important.
It is, definitely.
And I saw one of the questions is, what would you have done if you weren't doing the job you're doing now?
I was just going to ask it.
Well, when I was at university, when I did my degree, we did all these tests. You know, what job should you be doing?
I've done plenty of them.
Because my last degree was in business and HR. Mine was, I can never understand how they come up with these two. I should have been a prison warden. Or work on radio. But since I am past retiring age now, I get quite chuffed when somebody actually asked me a couple of months ago, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? I said, I just hope to be alive. But, you know, so it's not like I'm looking for building an empire, etc., because I'm only 3 years short of being 70.
Oh, wow.
So I enjoy what I do, otherwise I wouldn't do it. And I make a choice to do what I do because I really love doing what I do. I love the phone calls. I love putting on events. You know, before the pandemic, I used to put on 4 conferences a year. Always helping and tried to make them different to what other organisation and whole conferences put on. And we've always had some great times. And I do the Inspirational Women Conference, where women get up on stage, and I call them the person behind the title. And even though I got slaughtered for not holding men's conference, but I said, would a man get up on stage and really open up and talk about their journey from school, their life? Not many men will.
No.
But we made the ladies bring men along with them. And we've had men who said to me, one of the best sort of testimonials I had from anybody, he said, Lindsay, I was dragged here screaming, dragged here by the tie. And he goes, do you know, it's the best conference I've ever been to. I can't wait to get back in there. Nothing about apprenticeships, nothing about funding, but just learning about the people in the sector, the names they know. So for me, it's actually about trying to do something different that's out there. And that's why I do what I do.
Well, that's been really insightful.
If it's any good, Tom.
No, this is really good. I really enjoyed chatting to you.
I have as well, and thank you for the opportunity. I loved it. Do you know what I mean? It's like Yeah, I love to get up and talk. I don't talk very often.
Do you not?
No, I'm not a natural, believe it or not, I'm not a natural speaker. So when
No.
I put on conferences, I'm not up there on stage.
Yeah.
I get other people to do it. I know what I'm good at. So I'm not, I'm a great salesperson. Put me into a business and I would say I'm like a fisherman.
Yeah.
I throw them the line and they're hooked. They might not be there. They might not take the bite there and then, but they come back.
Yeah.
So I'm not a person that get up there, great speaker on stage,
No.
but I'm very good at what I do. So I'm a great person, a great believer, and getting the best out of people and putting the best people up on stage
Yeah.
and let them do what they're good at and I do what I'm good at.
Yeah.
So that's what I do.
I'm the same. I get nervous about doing these podcasts.
Do you?
Yeah. I've been nervous for the last hour before we did this.
Oh God! If anybody knows me, I'm terrible. It's like I can never remember people's names, so I'm known for calling people darling and sweetie.
Yeah.
But I go around calling people darling and sweetie because I got caught out once. We were in St Lucia at a bar on the beach at Rodney Beach.
Oh, I've been to St Lucia.
Have you? It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, lovely.
So Rodney Beach, there's a bar at the end, and there's 10 people sitting around this bar, and somebody says, "Are you Lindsay?" And I said, "Yeah." They go, "We're members on LinkedIn." And I knew they were waiting for me to say their name.
And you just didn't know it.
Didn't know who the hell they were. So I managed to get by all afternoon on Darling and Sweetie. So I'm a bit like Ab Fab, you know what I mean? Patsy from Ab Fab. So I go around, give us a drink. Ab Fab. So that's how I get by. But you should never be nervous. You did well on there. But like I said, it's always strange because you don't know what people are going to say to you or who they are or what thing. I am not the best speaker in the world.
Yeah.
But but like you said, I am very passionate about what I do.
Yeah.
And that takes up. And as long as you believe in what you do, people don't have to agree with you, but they respect you.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do going forward. So how long have you done what you're doing then?
Working at Springfield?
Yeah, or because you were an apprentice. So how long have you been doing what you're doing since you've started your apprenticeship?
2.5 years.
Right, so what do you do? Marketing at Springfield?
Yeah, just marketing, general marketing.
And do you enjoy it?
Yeah, I love it. I didn't start off here, I started off somewhere else. But I was doing my apprenticeship through Springfield. So then I lost... Go on.
So how have you found the COVID experience, the pandemic, for marketing?
Yeah, it's been tough, because obviously we took a bit of a hit during COVID. No one really taking on apprentices not applying to jobs. Obviously there weren't many at the start of the pandemic to even apply for, so yeah, it's been tough, but we've not really struggled, I don't think. Well, not that I know of.
Oh, that's really good, because I don't know about you, but I got zoomed out, Zoom meeting zoomed out.
Yeah, I did, yeah. About 5 a day.
I thought I had to be on every Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Then it got to the stage where I would turn off my image, but leave it on so they didn't think I left.
Yeah.
Because I got zoomed out. It was doing my head in. I was literally exhausted from just being on screen.
Yeah.
So I made a conscious decision not to have any online webinars or anything else, because once you've been to one, you've been to them all.
Yeah.
And I just thought, so I sat back and thought, let other people do it. And they were charging, and the people were putting online conferences and they were charging ridiculous amounts of money. and training providers haven't got that money anymore.
No.
They haven't got that budget where they can pay £300 for somebody to attend an online conference.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they can get all the information online an hour later.
Yeah.
So I do think everybody's going to change what they're doing.
Yeah.
Hey, look, so we've all learned something different because we can work from. When I stopped working in London, because I used to hate the commute.
Yeah.
I made the decision then to work from home.
Mhm.
And that's why I have no staff, because I work for myself. So I've been working from home for years.
Yeah.
The last 11 years. So I'm used to it. But it's been such a change from people where the whole culture is meeting, going for meeting, going to the office, not going to the office because you're going to a meeting, going on a trip, going to a conference. That has all changed.
Yeah.
For a lot of people. Most people are only having sort of their first face-to-face meetings now in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
After a year of being at home.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so I've had some funny Zoom meetings. I did one Zoom meeting and the person was on Zoom and their bathroom must have been just off their bedroom, but they had their laptop set up.
Yeah. And
their partner walked out of the bathroom naked.
Oh, no.
I know, they were mortified. But it's like, we are going to have to change, and it is engaging with young people, because obviously they just don't know what jobs are out there.
No.
It's like my grandson during the pandemic in March, he took a job in his aunt's care home.
Yeah.
He called himself a hostess. He used to go around, it's a very posh care home, dishing out teas and coffees. He started his new job this week, breaking down computers, working for a computer firm.
Yeah.
But he stuck it out all during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because there was no other work out there.
No.
He finished college. He'd done 3 years of college. Blah blah blah. Come back, and there was no work out, and he looked everywhere.
Yeah.
So he ended up working again. He stuck it out. You know, if you're 21 years of age, you don't really want to be working in a care home.
No.
But there's no work out there, and it's so hard for young people, and we're going to see it again soon when they finish school or college.
Yeah.
What opportunities are out there for them? Not many.
Mm-hmm.
So I think training providers, they've got good relationship with past employers.
Yeah.
That is the way forward. It's building relationships, talking to your employees that you've worked with in the past.
Yeah.
Getting out there. Use your local council, because so many people don't use their local councils.
No.
And they've got a remit, and they're a free source. They're not going to cost you anything.
Yeah.
So that's the way forward. But anyway, thank you for having me and talking to me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's all right. It's been lovely to talk to you.
No, good. Well, thank you for that. And let us know. I look forward to hearing myself speak. I probably sound terrible. I sound like I come from London.
Yeah, there is a bit of a London twinge.
Yeah, because most people from Portsmouth, where I come from, they sort of come from London in the first place.
Yeah.
So you do have that London twinge.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm born in the Midlands.
Oh, really?
Yeah, near Wolverhampton. So, but that was many decades ago. I sound like I come from the east of London. Anyway, lovely to talk to you, and I hope you're happy with it.
Yep, I think it's going to be great. I'll send it to you when it's done, so you can have a listen.
Tidy up a lot. All right, bye-bye then, Dom. Lovely to talk to you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Springfield Training Podcast. We'd appreciate if you could like and subscribe to our channel. There's going to be loads of podcasts coming up this year. I'll leave a link to all social channels in the description as well.